Were you upstairs?
Yeah.
They passed their budgets?
It was, they set a public hearing.
Oh, I thought it had to be done today.
No, they did the budget.
Yeah, that's, so they gotta do a public hearing.
About
Okay, everybody ready?
Ready?
We will call this meeting to order. The first order of business was a public hearing that was to start at 6:15 today. You consider the board's resolution to accept the written offer by St. Lawrence University to dedicate and convey to the village of Canton property described in survey map that has been prepared by Wilhelm Chattel and Town. The village of Canton proposed street dedication. Letter and request were in our files. It was done properly according to Jerry. Well, you know, I gotta trust somebody, might as well be you. Is there any public comment about that street dedication?
For a while coming.
I didn't think there'd be much, but
it'll be worth it.
we gotta give it a few minutes because we advertised the next public hearing at 6:20, so. Any questions about this? Bob Washoe, Councilman Washoe, got a comment about the street dedication?
None.
Sure, you want to take a Bob, you missed my,
I think what I've had to say on it has been said.
you
That was
missed,
too much.
you missed my public comment, which was, it's been a while coming.
Bob agrees.
Okay, well,
Walking into here?
Yeah.
Oh, I get it.
yeah, we have 5 minutes set aside for the street dedication. We will have to complete the secret.
You have a name for the street?
Oh, you had to start that.
Washoe Boulevard.
Good try. We're gonna have a contest.
We haven't gone down that path yet.
Watch out that end.
No, we don't have a name for it yet, and we'll deal with that at a later date. That'll be an interesting discussion.
we have
to have
a public hearing on that?
Yeah. Did you
I don't know, I don't think so, but Jerry would be the,
throw it up in front? When was the last time the village had to come up with a name for a street?
I have no idea.
Been a while.
Where's our historian?
I'll bet it's been quite a while. Decommissions, you know,
There's been street in the village.
That's pretty.
Yeah, but the people that own that may have decided the name.
What was the name of the street in front of that, in front of school that was taken out?
It was Lee or Lay, or always
Where's that back in?
after we.
I don't know, we'll have to, we'll think about that. We're not discounting that idea. Just wanted to get this done before we start fooling around with names.
That could be
another for you.
I think we should have a contest.
Oh.
Contest is probably.
Those always work well.
I kicked me off the board for that idea.
Right.
Any other comment about the street dedication or the street, accepting the street? Anybody have questions on the board?
Salt and pepper street.
More questions on the board? Well, let's move into the next one. You set aside 10 minutes for the next one. Okay, the second public hearing that is to commence at 6:20. And we're about 30 seconds from that anyways. To consider a proposed resolution pursuant to Canton Village Code 312-20 that would prohibit the parking of any vehicle along the south side of Pearl Street from the entrance to the community bank parking lot to the intersection of Pearl Street and Court Street during such winter season from November 30th through March 31st. Text of the proposed local law was available on our website. A copy was with the clerk. So. They comment on restricting parking during the winter months. On Pearl Street. That section.
Which entrance to community bank, there's two right there.
It's the one closest to port. From that entrance, about
Five.
Yeah.
4 or 5 spots, you know.
Yeah, they're having a hard time, it's kind of bottleneck
Yeah,
there,
oh, yeah.
trying to get around the file here.
That was a request from DPW that we do that. Sally had notified the people who need to be notified, and as you can see, they're not standing here waiting to comment, so must be they don't have a problem.
Well, Karen McLucky, from the village.
Yes, Karen.
I am for, the removal of the on-street parking, at least for the winter. I would love to see that, something that is made permanent, or at least all year round, which would be permanent. But I'm also kind of curious to know what I don't remember where the alternate parking would be, or is there a proposal for it?
No, there wasn't a proposal for alternate parking. Many of those people are working at the county,
Yep.
county office building, and they do have other space on county property that they could go to. And it's just, you know, some of those people get there early, and I think that it's just convenient for them, so if they can grab a spot to do. They would have to use the other county parking lots that are available.
My observation walking around in the areas, and there aren't there are 12 to 13 parking spaces available for county spot. That's not our responsibility.
No. You know, we're trying to move DPW's plows through there so that they can, you know, do proper street maintenance during the winter. And then we would open up after that.
I think it's maybe 5 spaces.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It's only
You're
5.
the wrong.
Any other comment? Questions from the board? We're gonna have to wait for a few minutes.
Yes, we are. So assuming this passes, then we do signage there, we change the signs with that area.
Correct. Already got it drafted up.
So remind me what we are thinking about implementing.
Well, we were going to go along with the parking ban that we have. You know, between 2 and 6.
Yeah.
So it was consistent with that. So we take effect November 30th, whatever the date is. And then it would expire at the end of March.
The dates are the same as they are in the other municipal.
Right.
Sure.
Yes, so.
We're trying to stay
Try to not
consistent.
make any.
November 30th. Thank you. So it's been just in time. That's-
Sure, there'll be an education period.
Was
Chief.
maybe we could have a conversation about some. Phones or something like that we should
Sure.
really don't want to tell the county administrator, the sheriff,
Yeah, let's,
those people. If it really makes it all possible.
yeah.
They have, however, been,
I know. So,
Yeah, no, that's actually.
That's a good idea.
county administrator likes to park right there.
I think that's a great idea if it comes for.
Just for sure.
Just to-
We're gonna wait for a couple of minutes and then. we'll move
So in
forward.
terms of signs. You know, given supply chain and like, do you foresee any issues with getting them out?
No.
In this time? Okay.
I mean, they might not be up by November 3rd. It might take. Thursday, I get things, I take everything over tomorrow. Thanksgiving week's next week.
Sure.
But the main idea would be to do what Chief said. Start with that, I can get dig safe done. Post base driven before the ground freezes. And then the signs put up, you know, what we get. 3 weeks maybe. I would say we're-
I'm just asking questions. We got a couple of minutes, so I
Yeah.
get to ask that one. So thank you.
We thought 10 minutes for this was the right thing.
You never know how to predict. We probably could have been 3 and 3, but.
Yeah.
So first days running list, wow, seemed pretty good.
Presentation was good. Oh, really?
We're getting there. There's a couple of people that were planning on moving up. The roads. They're not here.
Right.
So. We can
We can
wait.
just.
Well, I'll start and then we'll move on.
If they- they may have looked at the agenda instead, maybe that's out there.
Okay. Well, why don't we close our public hearing? Hearings plural. And we'll hear people coming, so I'll wait a minute or two, so.
We're missing a bunch of stuff.
Hmm?
We're missing a bunch of stuff.
Yep. Go ahead and sit down anywhere.
Yeah, it's chilly.
Okay,
Can I just-
okay.
So, you get comment. Yeah. Okay. The meeting is dark, no picture. What? Well, no,
Well, we're up there.
we're there.
Yeah, but we're not, it's not live, that's not what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm frozen them in that picture, and so is she.
Maybe close the picture and
Swim up,
start it again?
which is good thing.
So that means we're not live.
Doesn't look like it. It's me. Because it would be following our voices.
I might close the camera and start it again. Sometimes when I freeze, that works for me. Okay.
In a second. Okay. No, that's not the computer, that's just the projector. Is it going? So he said he can go now. Then that's the way we want it to go.
Yeah, I will. Uber. There you got it. Polluted that.
Is that every time?
Oh, yeah, unfrozen.
There you go.
There we go.
That did.
Okay. So why don't we get started here? We'll call this meeting to order. Couple things, I'm expecting some other people to come along. But the regular agenda, I have moved I moved the discuss rights of the river resolution up to under special presentation. And I have added Jennifer Henry to complete streets, approval for complete streets. So we will move around as needed here. So the first order of business is to approve minutes of October 19th.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Why don't we go with the
Seems like we're gonna.
who's coming? Ah, perfect. We just started. Next item on the agenda then is Canton Housing Authority. And Amanda St. Marie is here. I know she wanted to come and did you bring somebody with you, Amanda?
Chief was going to try to be here, but he had to go to water and wasn't sure.
Okay,
It's Zimmerman.
If anyone else is.
if you want to wait, we'll move to something else and then give them a chance to get here. If they're coming.
See if he can,
Yeah. I told him,
you know, he's got stuff.
Okay, we'll give it a minute and we'll go. And the next is the rights of the river resolution. And you, Carol, did you want to introduce or?
they can, well, I think we've talked to them all.
Okay.
They can introduce themselves, and since he wants to plug his presentations in, so we'll have to go to.
Can you? Okay.
Right in the business.
So you're gonna run the slides.
People on the albums. Yep.
This would be the right.
Okay, so I'm gonna actually do the presentation. You know, I stand over here. I'm Kathy Strady. I am on the Canton Sustainability Committee. I'm also a geoscientist, and we also have with us Blake and Simpson, who are lovely young people who came here as students and love the area so much that they decided to stay and become members of the community and have been contributing ever since. So what we're going to do really quickly is just a very brief 5-minute background about what this is, and then we're here to answer your questions. So, so we can move to the second slide.
If anybody wants to move around, it's kind of hard to see the way we're set up, but if anybody would like to just move around and see what she's speaking about, and then we'll go from there. This isn't ideal for one of these things, but
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Move the screen a little bit.
So second slide.
No, we can't move the screen because it's.
Yeah.
We just click on it.
just never click on the next slide.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so it's helpful to understand what the rights of nature is, because the rights of the river is part of a larger movement called the rights of nations. So what the rights of nature is this recognizing that natural entities like rivers and their ecosystems and watersheds possess basic rights, like the rights to exist, to flourish, the right to restoration, for example, if necessary. The rights of nature also, as a movement, typically recognizes and gives legal rights to natural entities, which means that they can then be defended and protected in a court of law. And the rights of nature empowers humans to act as guardians or stewards by allowing them to be plaintiffs in a court of law on behalf of natural entities like rivers. Okay, next slide, please. So the right of nature is actually part of a global movement. At least 12 countries have passed legislation recognizing the rights of nature. And dozens of places in the United States have passed legislation. The very first, this is just a smattering of examples, but there are many, many more. The very first rights of nature law was passed in Pennsylvania in 2006. Ecuador has enshrined the rights of nature in its constitution. This year, Panama and Spain have passed rights of nature legislation. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania is the very first city in the United States to pass legislation, and then there are a bunch of other examples in different states and villages, et cetera. We will go read all of those on the next slide, please. It's also, I think, helpful for you to understand what the rights of nature is not. It is not meant to regulate private citizens. It really was created in order to oppose large corporate entities that come into a community from the outside and then harm the humans and the environment by their actions. So it's really meant to be in opposition to corporate entities. And it's also just worth remembering that corporations in the United States have legal rights under the Constitution, so why shouldn't they? Okay, next slide, please. So you might ask, why do we even need rights of nature? Because we do have federal and state legislation, but current federal and state legislation often does fall short of adequate protection, and there are numerous examples of that are well documented. And also, we really can't anymore rely on even the current legislation and protections, because right now, on the current Supreme Court's docket for this session, is a case where they will be re-examining the Clean Water Act. And we know that the Supreme Court is all right with overturning long protected rights and protections. So we can't rely on even those protections that are already in place. Another thing that I think is worth recognizing is that rights of nature is very much a democratic movement. It gives agency to local citizens to act on behalf of their community to protect natural entities in their community. Okay, next slide, please. So we've been working to educate and inform people in the North Country about the rights of, in particular, the rivers and the watersheds. And this is very much a work in progress, but we wanted to just show you that we have so far, and we're still working on getting other people and organizations, a wide range, it's a little hard to see the blue, but of organizations that have signed on to this. So we have everything from the Kansas Sustainability Committee who have signed the resolution, land trusts, educational institutions and schools like Nature of North, Algoma University. This is not just here, but it's the North Country in general. Museums, we have a power company, Northern Power and Light, which is a hydro company. Private companies or businesses and farms. So we have a wide range. We also wanted to let you know that just last week, the town of Canton's board, not Canton, sorry, the town of Potsdam's board passed an identical resolution to the one that's before you tonight, except where it says the rack. So they just passed that, and we're moving to the next stage in terms of actual legislation. So next slide, please. Okay, so what is the Rights of the River resolution? It will be on the next slide. This is what was sent to you before. I can read it for those of you who can't see it. There are a bunch of whereases. Whereas the Grass River is the lifeblood of the human and natural communities that make up the watershed and surrounding ecosystems. And whereas the Grass River has since time immemorial sustained an immense diversity of species, all connected in the tapestry of interdependent life. And whereas communities around the world and across the North Country are legally recognizing the rights of rivers to protect the water that brings life to their communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the Village Board of Canton, do hereby resolve as follows. One, that the Grass River should be recognized as having certain inalienable and legally enforceable rights to exist, regenerate, flourish, evolve, adapt, and thrive, and two, that residents of the village of Canton should have the legal ability to enforce those rights and bring action in the name of the river as plaintiff. And three, that the village pledges to work towards adopting a local law that recognizes, secures, and provides an avenue for enforcement. Questions?
Anyone?
The watershed's guardian, I must have missed, what is a watershed guardian?
You can explain.
So it's just a group, it's basically people, it can be groups, individuals, it can be corporations, universities, private citizens that just say, we support the concept behind the rights of the rivers. And we just want to come together to share our support for the rivers and for the people that are moving forward.
So we have a website and a resolution that's fairly similar to this, but this states we don't have necessarily the specific river. And, you know, here are the rights that we recognize, and if we sign this, we are saying that, yes, you know, you represent. And then we write in there what it means. So,
Where do you head from here after this?
So if this passes, then we would like to work with the village to help draft ordinance, a local ordinance that works for our community. And it's very individualized, like all these different laws all over the place. You know, it's based on that community and their needs and their wants. So, for example, the one that was passed in Pittsburgh, that one was specifically worked on because the water of the city of Pittsburgh was being threatened by fracking. So there was specific language in there to put that fracking. That is not currently an issue here, you know, so it would be very much tailored to our needs. We don't have right now some big corporation trying to come in, you know, so our language would probably be, but it's really up to us as citizens, you know, be much more general in terms of. So the next step would be to work together to come up with legislation, like an ordinance, you know, that works for our community.
Now, the town has looked at this because we're a small piece, the river's a small piece.
It had to
and-
come up to the town of Canton.
Okay.
It's on, I think it's on the agenda for December, but I'm not sure. Potsdam, I believe. And Potsdam passed one of that.
And that was the town versus the village.
The town,
Has the village taken it up yet?
the village of Potsdam has not taken it up, but that will hopefully happen soon. How Potsdam is kind of looking at the next stages is still very much up in the air, but the way that what we know is that they really want to form a committee of Potsdam residents that involves the different boards, whether it be the planning board, the zoning board, but also students from the community and youth, college students from the different colleges in the area. I'm talking about Potsdam now, so Clarkson and SUNY Potsdam high school students, so that the youth voice is also present, but also bringing scientists, researchers to really have something like Kathy mentioned, that really is tailored for the community. And that's the process that's going to be moving forward. And they want, so the town passed it, they want to involve the village
Right.
and then keep on.
Bob, you had a question?
Yeah, thanks. One of the earlier slides said Grass River watershed. How are you defining that? So is it limited to the banks of grass, or is it gonna include the Little River, Harrison Creek, Boyden Brook? You know, I mean, the watershed
It's big.
is extensive, as you know, so I'm just curious how you're defining that.
Did you want to address that or?
Go first.
Well, I was gonna say, but correct me if I'm wrong, I think we're thinking of it in the broader sense. I mean, you know, you could go on forever and ever, like some of these, are the St. Lawrence watershed, which is enormous and goes, you know, Canada as well. But I think we're thinking in a broader sense, if we want to,
And then it can also depend on what the community wants.
yeah, that's true. Also, so the community can also,
Sure, we could define, you know, if it gets past the resolution, we could, as we're working further, we could define it.
I mean, an important point though, Bob, is that what this allows us to do though, is that, for example, if some corporation upstream of Canton Village starts polluting the river and it's affecting the water that goes downstream into Canton, a local citizen in Canton can, sue that corporation.
Yeah, I'm just thinking from the town-wide perspective, I mean, the whole town is the watershed, so. But are the specific language gonna get into really defining, I mean, is the goal to really just have it be the complete watershed, or really look at the activity along the navigable waterways, which includes the smaller creeks?
I mean, again, I would say probably the large goal would be the whole watershed, but again, we tailor it to the community, and if the community has issues with that, or if it's too difficult to decide, to define the whole watershed, or if it meant that we couldn't pass it because of some issue with like a broader description of it, then it's up to us.
And then one other question, as far as like the eligibility of an action being taken, how's it gonna interface? I'm not concerned about this for my farm, necessarily, but I just think right to farm in New York State and big farms, they have certain protections beyond actually most of us, right? So I'm just curious how that's gonna interface, because that is most of the industry in the town in Canton, right? Especially with the Grass River, because once you get out of Canton, now you're into the foothills and the headwaters, so there's not a lot of industry with the exception of agriculture. I'm just curious, would this have any teeth with big ag or not?
Potentially,
And it depends again how it's written. It could be written to keep ag out or not. It depends on how.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Do we have examples from other communities where there have been actions taken as a result of these laws being passed?
yes, although I don't have, do you have any of that information with you?
So yes, it is. So in a lot of cases, in most cases, what happens is that this, just something like this being passed acts as a deterrent. So other people don't want to, like what happened in the first place it was passed was in Marlborough, Pennsylvania. And thereafter they passed the law, the threat disappeared. No, there was no need to reinforce it because just by passing it, they set a precedent. Other places where it's passed, it really depends on, so right now the cases that are active in this country, or we have the wire band of Ojibwe Chippewa as a case against Enbridge Extension Pipeline. That's a very complicated case because it involves treaty. So very, very complicated. We have another case also involving treaty rights, that's the Saxarado tribe, that's next to Seattle. And then we have a case in Florida. The problem with Florida is that the Florida legislator is very antagonistic against the environment and they've got. So those are the cases in which things happen. In most cases, though, it's acting as a deterrent. And another thing to note about this, and this is not meant to burden the municipalities, it's not meant to burden the village or the county in any way. It just gives the citizens the right to stand up for their rights and stand up for them. Again, it depends how it's written and the language inside of it. What we're hoping is that not to do anything that would burden any municipality, would just be an extra tool for anyone that wants to stand up for the
I think it's important that, sometimes you have to worry about unintended consequences as you go down the path. I think we have to be very careful. But this is a beginning. I guess that was my question. This is a start. There's more to do this. I think you have to be extraordinarily careful on how you proceed with something like this, because you don't know what you're gonna do to a small farm or some of these people. So.
It seems to me, I appreciate a lot the work that you put into this, and this is not my first presentation. I appreciate the opportunity that this affords the community and the citizens of the community. And would certainly be in favor of taking the next step to at least open it up to conversations in and among the community. I also think it's, some of the questions that Bob raises, I think impact the village and the town, and like if the village does it and the town does it, or the town does it and the village does it. I think we need to get with the town, hear what they're thinking on the topic, decide what we're thinking. And I really think this is another good example of where the town and the village should be working together for this and make a decision, if we can reach a decision together and work through it together as the whole community. I would think of that.
I think that makes sense.
Well, I support that. We all are interested in this. I think we just need to be careful, that's all. And we will, I think the important thing is to get with the town because that has the
The
most.
care will be taken in the next step.
Yep.
And that, I think that's where the time and the real deep conversation and the real consideration of exactly what the community wants to accomplish here will happen. And I think that we can do it together, that's.
So do you want to move this resolution forward now? In preparation for the next step, or do you want to do it in conjunction with the town?
I would be in favor of doing it in conjunction. I think doing it on our own as a village is good, and that would be a first step. But to me, I don't want to hold things up, but it would be a more powerful effort and initiative that we do.
Perfect joint meeting discussion.
Perfect joint meeting.
Well, I just wrote that down. That will be one of our items for discussion, especially if you're going to present to the town. I think that gets them up to speed. With Bob
Right.
here.
Yeah, I think the presentation is important as the next step for the town, so that people can get the information. I mean, I've been involved in these discussions, so I'm a bit of ahead of the curve relative to the rest of the board, so I think they should be afforded the same opportunity to get up to speed, so that then we can have an educated conversation about it.
Okay. Well, thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much.
It will be an agenda item on our next joint meeting, which will be coming up in January.
January.
Okay, next item, is.
Don't forget your drive. Okay.
Is Canton Housing Authority. I was asked by their executive director, Amanda St. Marie, if she could come and present the check that they normally present every year. Oftentimes go down to get it from you. Oh, you want a photo too? Okay. Usually I get to get my picture taken. Paul. Or.
I don't need to get back.
Okay, well, get over here. Okay, I can take that. Well, I know where it's going. It's gonna go to Sal. At the same time, we asked,
Just talk a little bit about how much the check is, what it is, and why we get it. I think there's people here.
Yep, so, the director of the Public Housing Authority here in Canton. HUD gives us a amount of $550 they pay us, and it's payment in lieu of taxes that we give to the village. And then we get some services and help, when we need it from them, and that's every year, that's the benefit. I wanted to give a little bit of background about the Housing Authority for people who don't know. Actually, in doing this, when I wrote this up, I'm like, oh, wow. 2023, we're gonna be 50 years in business here in Canton. Our first high rise is the two high rises on Riverside Drive are ours, and Wall Lane, if you're familiar. The biggest high rise, the second one when you're driving out that way, was built 50 years ago. So, yep, the second one, the large one, and that was what established the Canton Housing Authority. And then the following, let me see. So 2023 will mark us 50 years of business, it's 49 right now. And then In 1979, 35 Riverside Drive was built, and that's the other high rise just prior. And then Law Lane was built in two different loops over there. So the, we call it Project 3, that was built in 1981, and then we have a big 3-bedroom family unit loop that was built in 87. So right now we're housing about 200 people. And to give you an idea, so public housing, we're a public housing authority. There are 192 public housing authorities in New York State, 3,300 in the country. And we are a smaller housing authority, but we house in the village up to, I think at one point, we're over 350 people. We have the public housing program, which is our largest high rise, 37 Riverside, and the Law Lane Apartments, that's the second site of public housing. And then 35 Riverside Drive is a multifamily property. It's still a HUD program, but just financed it. So, and there are 93 apartments in 37 Riverside Drive, 50 in 35. And we have 76 units over at Law Lane, and they range from 1 bedrooms, 2 and 3 bedrooms to families. So we've been around a long time. COVID was really difficult, not just, I mean, it's difficult for everyone, but difficult for my tenants, definitely. We had people, you know, who couldn't go across the hall to visit their friends. You know, I've seen, my own mother lives there, and she is physically, it's gone down because of it. So, you know, it's been a really trying time. In 2022, we've gotten to kind of go back to some normalcy. We've been able to provide, you know, we've had an ice cream social where we actually have an ice cream truck come in, and everybody gets a coupon, and then we all sit and chat. And we did it at Law Lane too, with our families over there. And we did that in conjunction with a, one of my staff members actually signed all the kids up for the free kits that Lowe's gives out. And we went over and the kids got to do the checks with our maintenance guys, and it was just very nice. It was just really nice. And then, of course, ice cream truck came. And so we've been able to do a lot more with our tenants and try to help them find that normalcy too. And this year, one of the big things that has happened is the fire that occurred in Ogdenburg. Within a week, we turned around 18 apartments and housed, I think 21 tenants from that. Most of them, a lot of them. Thing, but it was a good thing because we could help and support. And they really appreciated it, and it was significant for my staff too. You know, we helped, we put the fan together, we did the things they needed to do, we helped distribute other things that MILC gave them. The Ogdensburg had sent over beds and sets of furniture that were donated, went to them, I should say, from United Helpers. We got them all set up. You know, we did it quickly, and we made them help to give them some stability because it was a real tragedy for them. And I'm very proud of my staff, what we did during that time. As far as, oh, I skipped something, sorry. So right now we have a substantial construction project going on in the second loop at Law Lane. And so there's a lot of vacancies there right now. We have, I had said earlier, we are housing around 200 tenants, and usually it's over 350. And that's because we have those vacant units that are being remodeled, but we're getting through that. It's taking longer. Our new COVID business world, things don't happen as quickly as they used to. But that's going to be a very positive thing. One of the really special things, sorry, I'm going back to tenants. is I have a new employee and she had the idea to start sending birthday cards to tenants. And I'm going to tell you, this is one of the best things we've ever done. Tenants, I get stopped all the time. Thank you so much for that birthday. Like, it really just means so much because we have so many people that are living here and they don't have family in the area, you know, they don't have someone reaching out to them. It's been a really nice. So. let me see, and we've been able to, been able to start our tenant meetings again, and that's helping a lot. We had a band and got some great pictures of tenants dancing with staff and things. It was fun. We have a new website that is finally back up and running. It's cantonhousingauthority.com if anyone wants to check that out. It's going to be very helpful for applicants. Tenants can go on and see policies and things like that too, if they've lost their pet policy and they, want to look, it's there. And we'll have a Facebook page coming soon. One thing that I feel is very important is, so at our oldest building, we had some really serious problems with our boilers. It's been problems for years. Every year, we're like, I hope these make it through one more year. Of course, it's on years old. And we have finally, we came to where we were going to make the decision to install a nice new efficient boiler system. And then I had noticed from a company that I work with that NYSERDA is giving out a lot of incentives. I'm sure you may have seen for air source heat pumps. You've probably seen commercials for these types of things. Well, for us, we will get some major incentives, and we work with a company called Phenologists, and they know how to access every NYSERDA incentive that we can get. So, and this, of course, is working towards the goal of in not just New York State, across the country of, making everything, reducing the carbon footprint. And I think the deadline for that is 2050. It's been going on for years, but now everyone's going, oh boy, it's getting closer. So, we need to make sure that we do that. But we are right now in contract with Phenologists. They are searching for all the incentives and putting their applications and doing all of that so that we can install these in both of our high-rise buildings. Air source heat pumps provide, not only are they very, very energy efficient, but they provide heating, cooling, and dehumidifier. So tenants won't need air conditioners. It's going to be very significant because our two high-rise buildings have, they are designated for elderly disabled tenants. So, and there has been, especially in that big building, a problem with the boilers just because they've aged, but there are so many variables in the way it's set up. Well, let me just summarize it and say that not everybody's happy with the heating in the building, and for good reason. It's kind of an antiquated system, and it's time for that update. And air source heat pumps are going to be coming to more communities, housing authorities. I think one company that finances it, they actually just made a deal with all of Ithaca to do their whole city. So anyway, those are the really kind of neat things that are happening at that. I just wanted to give you a little bit of information. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Carol?
Yep, I do have a couple questions, Amanda. Thank you so much. I have several. One is you talked about your occupancy rate and the vacancies and that things are taking longer than you had hoped. I
Yes.
know that's hard to say, like what a timeline might be. What's your waiting list look like? Are you gonna be able to fill those as soon as?
Absolutely.
So you've got a long
Yes,
enough waiting list?
and we have a timeline now that the contractor's been hired. We have a timeline from them, and a lot of the wait period is, of course, on tub surrounds, and it's this new COVID business world that I talk about. That wait time on items like that is really slowing them down.
And it all has to be completed before you can get occupancy.
Yes,
But
but
that's, we have a huge housing issue, so,
absolutely.
we need to
And
get people in
so
housing.
what's going to happen, they're really hoping to have, it's in phases, and they're hoping to have the first phase done hopefully by the end of December. And then my maintenance staff will have to get in there to do a few things to finish up and make them, ready. Because they've been offline and they're gonna have a lot of work being done. But between, if the contractor stays on track, we should be able to start housing in that first phase during January, because we're well aware, of, like, we know when they're gonna start being ready. Maintenance will have to plan to get it and do what they need to do, and my person who does the occupancy, calling off the wait list will have people lined up. So we're on it, like, we are ready to have people in there, because, we're without income for those units too, so it's definitely something that impacts on a lot of different levels.
So, talking about your readiness and capacity to be ready, I know that there were a lot of staffing issues during the pandemic period. How are you doing now with
Very
staffing?
well. I am one person short, but this is a new position. So, and the other positions now are all filled. I am the only person left on the housing authority staff that was prior. I have had to rehire, and I had some positions that I had people in and left and put new people in, so it has been a huge turnover. When I started working at the housing authority 15 years ago, it was the same staff that had been there forever, and then here comes COVID, and if I'd have been able to retire, I would have done so. So, I had people leave for retirement, people leave because of COVID. So.
But even though it's a pretty green team that you have, you feel like when they get their moment, they can move.
Oh, absolutely. I have a very good, a very skilled set of maintenance employees. This is they're a great team. They work very well together. They're very knowledgeable and have a lot of experience. So they're on it. They're on it. And my person that I have for, I get people in, and then I go, I have a few clerk positions, and then I kind of see who can do what the best, what serves, right? So the woman that is in the position for calling off the wait list, there's quite a process we go through, is excellent, and she is on it. Right now, we have a ton of vacancies in our high rise because Ogden's for tenants who left, they just kind of left abruptly. So we have several, and we talked today, and we're gonna fill 7 units before the end of the month. So we are definitely going to have those filled as soon as possible.
Great. So one last question that I have, I know things were difficult in COVID, and I know you're aware that we heard from a lot of tenants with some,
Yes.
dissatisfaction. Sounds like maybe you're starting to make some strides with that. One of the things that I know that we were, interested in seeing happen is to have tenant representatives on your board. Is that happening now?
We had them. Because we always have had two. We had during COVID, a member passed away, another member stepped down. And so we got 2 more. We did we do a election. And we had 2, one of them stepped down. We had somebody who was the second runner-up in the election. She took the position of the woman who stepped down. We did just have one of them step down, so we're short 1, but we will fill that and go back to the norm that we've always had. We've always had 2 tenants.
I'm glad it's important for their voices to be heard in your, in your leadership. Okay, thanks, Amanda.
No problem.
Any other
Anybody
questions for
else?
Amanda? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Everybody have a great month.
You too.
Yeah,
Huh?
how much was the check?
The check was
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't.
$29,224.21.
Just so the board knows, we share that with the town, with the county things.
We don't get that ourselves.
We share it with the town,
Kathy,
the county and the school.
Oh,
Yeah.
we don't actually want to.
no, we don't want to.
But they expect us to.
Okay. All right.
So, just another quick question. Are there any COVID restrictions or any restrictions? in terms of, like,
Not now, no. No, everything is pretty much gone back to normal. People still wear masks if they want. And we still have all the social distancing and wash your hands, all that still up, well, that's important for everybody, right? But, it hasn't been too bad. There was a time where I was upset with tenants that I know didn't have their, but there's only so much I can do. They didn't have their shots, I know they weren't wearing masks, but I can't go and say, hey, I know, so we do the best we can, just keep reminding and we let other tenants know it's perfectly fine to ask someone to put a mask on if you're going control or step off an elevator. If you don't want to be, so we're always very surprised.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, let's move on with the department head reports. Well, Tim, you're on top.
Perfect. Really, I just mentioned that leaf and brush pickup continues to the end of the month. I'm sure a lot of people know that a lot of people have been putting it out. It's been disappearing. I went out and checked the pile where we put it. I think it's about 300 feet long. The size of the dump truck.
Really?
So, yeah, it might not seem like it, but a lot has been removed from the village already. So that's. And they're about 3 or 4 feet across.
Okay.
So
Yeah, no, it looks
yeah, they
great.
took down quite a bit there, stumped it all, and now these new 5 trees in there.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day and they had a good team.
Good.
Yeah, a couple of us were down there.
Hydrant on University Ave, is that out of service?
It is out of service still, yes.
Questions for Tim?
Thank you.
Thank you.
About to get busy.
Chief. Yeah.
Here are we, Chief.
Couple quick things. All of my staff, with the exception of girls, I guess, are doing beards for bucks again this month, so if we look a little shaggy, it's for a good cause. Each of the last 2 years, we've donated over $1,000 each of those years to 2 charities, so they wanted to do it again, so it's for a reason. We'll be back in normal December 1st. Also, we have received. We applied for through the sheriff's department for Operation Stone Garden monies. That's administered through Border Patrol. It's to enhance border security. But we are not border patrol officers. We're not trying to do any of that. We stay right in the village of Canton. I wasn't gonna sign up for it if it was anything but. And their main focus is we get overtime money to have an extra officer on duty. We have things we have to do in the village. They're fine, go do that, don't worry about it. But they really would like us to look for illegal guns. That is a huge problem in this area that I didn't even realize. So the last few years, how serious it is. We've had a couple of cases that have involved our village and town area. That one in particular was big enough that it actually triggered. It's on one of the major sites for law enforcement or countrywide. This is sort of a huge arrest, I guess. It's not out to the public. It's still an ongoing case. We've also, the other part that they really want us to look for is human trafficking. Meaning people that don't want to be trafficked or take it from one point to another are coming through our area. Our agency through the years has actually had a handful of cases that we've actually taken in and made stops. And actually really helps some people. But anyway, those are the two main things that they want us. We are amongst the sheriff department, state police, DEC, senior PD, and Ogden there. Got some money. We got almost, excuse me, almost $17,000. Pretty overtime money. Other than others, answer questions.
Questions from the board?
I was just, I just want to make sure I understand. So these are dollars towards overtime costs for our officers doing this work outside of normal.
Yes, they can come in. It also helps us with some mileage for the cars, gas, but mostly it's for overtime. But while they're, maybe hanging out on Main Street, if there's, something else going on, they need to go help with, they said, go do that kind of stuff. And they do no problem. It's a nice addition, money wise, something like that.
Do you coordinate with the border, as to when they're on?
I think sometimes they may come over, I mean, they're this way anyway, so.
Right.
Mostly we're gonna be kind of doing our own thing, but
Yeah.
it's mainly just kind of watching traffic that we want to do. So it's not really, we're not leaving the village, we're not doing.
Right, no, I just didn't know if there was, coordination or if there were.
I think occasionally there's.
That's.
Any other questions?
Well, not a question, but if I can just comment on the, in your report about the ride along, the student who's doing a ride along, I think that's a great thing. So thanks to you and your officers for making that available to the student.
Yeah, we really try to do that with buses, students, kids.
Yeah.
We've been doing it, I think, pretty much every year in the last.
Yeah.
Worked out pretty good.
Okay. Tim Nolan, code enforcement. Have your report?
Yeah.
Anything to add or?
Issued 16 new.
A little louder, please.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Maybe step forward, Tim, it's hard to
I'll
hear.
step forward. And take a ladder,
Yeah, thank you.
way in the back. All right, there we go. How's this better?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Issued 16 new building permits for a total and collected a total revenue of $1,104. Attended NYSERDA training for energy code enforcement training for the Air Force. Issued compliance for new fence. Condemned the structure, the dwelling. And that's 5 State Street, get on only. Fire safety inspection, 6 Mountain Tavern, and 6 deficiencies. In follow up, took up 10 and 6 deficiencies corrected.
I have sort of a question / comment. The code our code is now online, the E-code is up and live. And I just wondered if, do you refer people to that? Are you using the online version?
Yeah,
Great, the link on the bottom of the website is now live to the right place.
yeah, I learned. to do that.
Great.
Good.
Hip hooray.
Yay.
All right, great.
The year.
Yeah. it's
Yeah.
a year,
Yeah, right.
and that.
I
reminds
think
me
we
if
should
people
take a
have
year to
their-
pay our bill.
Yeah, if people have their code books, and want to bring them in to be updated, please do that.
I've done 2 so far.
It's the whole, isn't it a wholesale change? I mean, isn't it a whole, we're not doing a whole new one?
No, we're not
Just
doing
that
a whole
part.
book, it's a
I'll bring them a book.
large section.
Thank you. Treasurer,
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
anything to add?
Well, I just wanted to highlight, that we talked about at the last meeting about our increases, possible increases for, heat and fuel,
Mhm.
and just using a 20% guesstimate, that was $36,000. So, but then on the other hand, because of the increase in cost for fuel and heating, we also increased our sales tax for the same period last year by $85,000. So, with that, there's a little bit of good.
When it comes to heating increases, I attended a discussion with our natural gas supplier. And they don't expect it's gonna be 20%. It's gonna be more like 7.5 to 8. Fuel, well, that's another, fuel oil and things like that. Any other questions for Sally?
On the subject of heating costs, we just heard from Amanda of the housing thing about heat pumps. Let's, in very near future, discuss the possibility of getting heat pumps for some village buildings for a starter to sort of test them out and assess how much saving there is. And as a sort of pilot for, the village residents that might be thinking about. I would encourage us to very soon discuss that possibly.
Didn't we have somebody look at a couple of possibilities? Couple locations for that already?
Well, we're looking at some possible locations, but we haven't gotten, to the point of actually, getting prices on heat pumps or getting, we're just looking at possible buildings. Options. Sure. Proceed with that for sure.
Klaus, do you think there'd be money for that? Could we get some grant money for that? Seems
Yeah,
like.
I'm gonna look at NYSERDA and the outfit that the housing council has.
Yeah, I would guess that our
I'll talk
climate
to them.
smart communities
Yep.
points and our clean energy community
Yep.
points would help us get there.
Yeah, we'll look at what funding is available, state funding and other funding. We'll bring that to the board. Next meeting. Sure.
Okay,
What-
thank you.
One more thing for Sally, the Zoom recordings, I see that they're up, yay.
Yay.
I will just say the most recent one is not opening for me.
No, it's not.
No,
Well, I will delete it.
It was designed that way.
I,
I might just need to correct.
it,
Yeah.
yeah, it might just be a weird link issue, but anyway, that also, does that mean our Zoom is now, below 1,000% over?
It is. Heidi and I are gonna get together and decide that together, delete everything.
Right, you gotta take a deep breath to do
Yeah.
that in company with others, got it.
And
They
do that.
really and truly are on YouTube, so you
Yes,
can do it without losing sleep.
Thank
And-
you for
and
all that
one's
work.
more than
Thank
one
you. You're
person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really great. That was no fun.
No.
Okay, animal control, you got the report here.
If you could read it. Excuse me, did I say that out?
Yes, you did. Economic development, Lee, how are you?
Good. I'll just kind of run through quickly, I guess. So we did submit an application to the county for ARP funds to close the financing gap for the secondary water source. I don't know when they're going to be making the announcements, but let you know as soon as we know that. The Willow Island project, we did have the first public meeting. We have received some, a report for, of the surveys that was done and also some concepts for the committee to take an initial look at and respond to. So we're trying to set up a meeting in the next few weeks or so, to discuss those with the consultant and the committee. I expect the next public session with concepts will be early in 2023. We are going to be applying again, at least I anticipate to, for the EPA Brownfield Area Risk Assessment Grant. CNS companies on the heels of doing our lowest step 2 and submitting our nomination package offer to help us write that grant. That will allow us to continue on that process and do testing around Canton and various locations. So that's due next week. They essentially have written for us. We've been very close several times. So we're going to try again. So we'll be submitting that. On the Brownfield Opportunity Area nomination package, that was submitted to the state. And they came back and wanted some modifications made to it. So CNS has made those modifications and resubmitted, and it's under review right now. So my understanding is that those months they need to get through the process. Once it's done, they will have an eventually recognized Brownfield. We received notification that our CDBG CARES Act application was approved.
Yay.
So the clock is ticking, so we have to start doing our environmental review and get that completed. But in the meantime, we are preparing our documentation for the small business assistance side of things to release for the grant program that we're going to be able to do with that. And I know United Healthcare is also gearing up and starting to advertise. Bill. We can't do anything until the environmental's done. But hopefully we can get that done within a month or so. Just press on because we have 12 months less than that now.
Yep,
So November 9th, 2023. So that's over $1 million.
that's the
So
dead,
that's
that's when
big.
we have to spend it by,
Yes,
November 9th.
November 9th.
So they're both just really great projects. That's.
Yeah.
very exciting.
Yeah, so just as a reminder, we have $500,000 for small businesses for addressing COVID-related things back to March of 2020. It can go back to. So again, it's kind of a unique program. Hopefully we'll be able to, create and retain jobs. Round 7 of Restore New York was announced. The notices of intent to apply are due on November 30th. So if that is something that we are going to do, we need to let us know that applications will be January 27th. The only other thing I have on here is on tabs.
Any questions for Lee? Thank you. Recreation.
So we are in ice season, full swing. High school hasn't started on Monday. So it is. Our new ice interpreter is scheduled to arrive next month sometime. Hopefully sooner rather than later. Senior fitness class started, we're getting pretty much 10 to 15 people every Wednesday morning. Even this morning, which is great. It came out despite the
Nice.
snow. Karate class last year on Thursday nights, Fred Como actually had to shut it down for numbers wise. And yet he had provided classes, he had so many kids, and they're tapped again this year, so.
Great.
Wonderful. And then, Pat Collins Real Estate, they are now a sponsor of every local state on Sundays, so they cover the. So that's a really nice gesture that they are doing. The outdoor rink is getting close to completion, unfortunately. Weather may get in the way of that, but they're getting very close to trying to finish the kick plates, which are the yellow border around the bottom. It's the hardest part, and so hopefully we get a couple warm days where they can finish those up. Crease Field pickleball and tennis courts are closed for the season. Pickleball league, they were able to play all the way up until last Thursday, so they were pretty excited. for the wrong season. They've already asked me like they did last year for an indoor place to play. Unfortunately, we don't have an indoor place to play. I have reached out to Kent Central and also St. Mary's. Unfortunately, their busy spaces are hard to get into because we don't have a lot of indoor spaces to use, but at least we're trying.
Yep.
And. That's it. Maybe that's a question.
Questions?
I have a few. That's all really great and exciting. The public skate public skate in general, like I know these are half days. Are you getting good attendance at those?
Oh, yeah, like today it was just a half day of school, so we didn't get a whole lot of kids, but when we don't have school, like when we have open hockey, the skates are packed.
Great.
Like open hockey will have 25, 30 kids, and open skate is anywhere from 4 to 8 people. So it's really nice.
I have appreciated getting the calendar with the open skate and all the different times on it. And just I'm curious, are you getting good traffic or can you tell, do you do any analytics on those to see if people are visiting your calendar? And I also looked for it on the website and didn't see it there. I wonder if there's a way for you to get that calendar on the website.
It is on our large master build schedule. So if you go to the recreation part of the website and you go to the pavilion page, on the bottom is our master calendar and everything is in there. Every spot that's booked, every public ice, everything is in there. It's live, so and I make a change on my computer on that there.
I wonder if that could be on your main rec page instead of on the pavilion page, just because I combined it.
Yeah, we can probably move it over, at least for the season. Of course, that's probably what we're gonna do.
Right.
But yeah, we send the calendar over, we send it over to Paul, and we're working now, trying to get over to the play deal. We do our best to try to get the word out.
And one more question about the rec committee worked on that community projects form and all. Wondered if the form's coming along or how that's coming, and also if you've had any other like proposals or anything, and if you've had a chance to use that and whether it's been useful.
We have not used it yet. I haven't had any new proposals come at me. I believe that's on our document.
Anything else?
Can I just ask about the interior door, the ADA door? Do we,
Barclays hasn't got,
no, not yet, still waiting.
they are small.
Okay.
That's out.
We're waiting to.
We're still waiting to.
She and yeah.
But I'm in the queue before.
And then I just, your report noted, and you've been using some numbers tonight, but just to give us a sort of a sense, you said it's been a success this first month. Like, does that, like, compared to last year, are we over, under,
Last year, we
same?
weren't open until October 8th, so yes, it is a complete success.
Okay, so we're,
To actually have a full month's of revenue coming in is huge. Because that's an extra $15,000.
excellent.
So, and last year we dealt with a lot of compressor issues where we had, say, a $30,000 bill. So the building didn't work out. So
Right.
everything is going well.
Right.
As long as we get our ice resurfacer in a timely fashion, everything will continue to keep going very well. So
All right.
it is going almost too well.
Don't say that.
Well,
No, it's been, of all the headaches that I had getting the ice in last year, it's having both the ice settle. Mechanical issues. It's been a breath of fresh air. And it's very nice when I go into my office on Monday morning and pretty much every Monday I have an email from a community member thanking me and our staff.
That's
great,
So it's been a success.
good, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we're good.
Megan, I
Um,
would just say, I'm gonna just add this. It would be great if some of that, if you included some of that in your report for us or for them, because like things like that, when people talk to us, and we know that from you, it's just helpful to say either, the door's coming or the door's not coming, or we're getting a lot of accolades, all that. That's really helpful. Really great. Congratulations.
Okay. Cindy,
Okay, hi, good evening. Apologize for not being there, but it's been a long week. Glad to be back. Anyway, I didn't have a report this month, but I did want to go over a few things with the people that are receiving a basic star exemption and that are turning 65 by December 31st, 2023. They're eligible to apply for the enhanced star as long as their income is under 93,200. So working on sending out the nonprofits and the firefighters and the ag exemptions, and I'm getting that prepared, and I'll probably be mailing it by the end of December. Does anybody have any questions for me?
I think we're good, Cindy. Thank you.
I don't, thanks, Cindy.
Okay, you're welcome.
And Linda Casserly will not be here tonight or online. But things are coming along well down at the her new site. She's doing a lot of work to get unpacked. She's looking forward to getting that opened up for the community. I think it was an inspection done today. I don't know if you're all set to go down there. If there's anything that needs to be done.
There's a few things.
Okay. Shouldn't be much trouble to get it going.
No, it's like, I gave it in 2 weeks.
Okay. Sounds
Maybe
good.
there's half a dozen things that were.
Okay.
Nothing. No imminent danger.
That's good. Thank you. Okay, I think that's it. I need a motion to accept those department head reports.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, committee reports are next. I bet we have a couple committees out there that would like to report. Who wants to go first?
All right, I'll start with communications and technology. So just to give a heads up, I was hoping to get this out ahead of the meeting, but that did not happen. The Communications and Technology Committee has been working on a social media policy for the town and the village, particularly for departments and board committees. Given that social media is a primary tool for communication, it seems appropriate to have some sort of guidelines for its use. You know, to encourage civil communication, have guidelines about what's the word I'm looking for? Guidelines for how social media sites that are connected to the municipality are managed and taken care of. So, you know, I think generally our hope is that much of what would be, posted on social media, much of it would also be appropriate for the website, and it would be useful for, using social media to drive traffic to the website. And so to that end, the clerks have also been working on developing a form for folks to use when they need information put on the website. This is, of course, outside of department pages. And so that's a bunch that is of stuff that is in the works. And so I'm going to send this policy around to the board, but also to department heads, because I think it would be good to get feedback from, folks who are going to use the policy as to, what sorts of ideas and input you might have. And then the town, of course, will also be looking at this. And maybe we'll have it on the agenda for discussion for the next board meeting. So that is the social media policy. That's all I have for communications and technology.
The only thing I would add to that is that, as far as the website goes, you know that I've been pretty involved in keeping that going and working on that and interfacing with North Shore Solutions. And Sally and Heidi, who's the town clerk, are really now taking that over. They know the ropes and all. They're connected to Matt. So really the oversight and the maintenance and keeping up of the website will now is as it should be, overseen and taken care of by the clerk's offices, and the interface with North Shore Solutions will come from the clerk's offices. We hope, and I think that a good thing to work on would be some departments do more of their own website work than others. But I would really encourage that if those of you who have pages or areas of your website and you need help or you want to learn how to do more on that, I think that working with the clerk's office, you could do that. The clerk can do it too, but you might like having your own, access to that and ability to work there. That's all I got there.
Okay, so I can speak about economic development.
Yep.
In addition to all the good work Lee's office is doing, we've met twice now with CGI, which is the company that is going to do the videos for our community, the 5 marketing videos. And so we met with them today, and in fact, now we have their questionnaire and some examples, and it's time to get to work figuring out, who exactly we're trying to market to and what it is that we are, trying to sell, so to speak, how we're trying to sell ourselves. So that mostly just to note that work is ongoing. But as we get closer to completed a complete script, a draft of a script and ideas about the visuals, we're going to be seeking input from board members as well. So you will be hearing more about that. The other thing I was going to note about economic development was we've talked about the economic development steering committee and its composition several times. So just to note that we have 2 new members joining that, the county chamber and the IDA. So those will be good additions to our monthly meetings, monthly 8 a.m. after the board meeting. Just to be clear.
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning. That's all I have for economic development.
Okay, who's next?
I guess I would just, say that infrastructure meeting, working with Tim, starting on, planning, thinking about budgeting season coming. A capital improvement plan so that we've got everything, we're starting to pull in the money, fingers crossed, we get some more good news on some more money for our water project. We've got sewer work that needs to be done. There's a lot to be done, so we're trying to get it into a comprehensive map, so to speak, so that we can, prioritize and work from there as the next grant season approaches. So I think that's all
So
I
you have?
have. I'll speak up again. If no.
Finance committee, I just would like to note that we have been looking for a treasurer, and we think we have one that's identified. And we would like to get the board involved in doing an interview. So I will pass something along to the board, give you some choices for dates. See if we can get together to do a meeting and do an interview. We'll notice the meeting, but then it'll be executive session. So,
Perfect.
Carol, you have any?
Yeah, I have a couple more, really essentially sort of wrap up reports for me. Shared services, you and Mary Ann, we're gonna look at the shared services agreements sometime now, between now and the end of the year. We do still need to pull a rec agreement together. I don't know where that stands either, maybe being generated by the rec committee, but it would be really a great thing if in this next year our shared services agreements included that. I have to say that I feel like in my time beginning, the shared services documentation and the written agreements, I think are really important, and we've made a lot of progress on those. I think it's a strength that we have shared with the town over these years, just getting that stuff straight, being on the same page, understanding and agreeing on billing and all that. So I do think we've made good progress and I think it's important and I hope that can continue. Sustainability. As I think most of you know, and if you don't, I am going to tell you now, the Sustainability Committee began was one of the very first things that happened when I came on the board, thanks to a student at St. Lawrence University. So it's really since 2014 that community committee and organization has been together. And it has, as you all know, been really enormously successful in some key areas of energy and transportation and food and ag. It's been a real, I think, a real great opportunity for community engagement. And has been well attended and well participated in. Anne Heidenreich, who's been the convener and the chair of the group for quite a number of years, of recent years, and I are both stepping away. The next meeting, which is on the 6th of December, is going to be specifically planned to be a vision and planning meeting to really say, okay, this is where we've come in the last 10 years, you know, where to now, what are going to be our priorities, you know, for the communities, town and village, and who's going to do some of that work. I would love to see more people get involved. We'll have a press release going out that says that meeting's happening. I really hope and have made this plea that SUNY Canton and St. Lawrence will really engage more. They have been a bit more. Some people from both have been on the committee, but I think that we could really use their expertise and their energy and the students that they bring along to really build and make more robust that committee and all that we're able to do in terms of sustainability and resiliency for the community. I think to that end, Anne Heidenreich is coordinating an Eco-Adapt workshop. I encourage you all to keep your eyes open for that. Mike is going to be or has been involved in a planning meeting about that. We're doing it with the town and village of Canton and Potsdam. A group comes in from Virginia to work to identify some critical issues related to vulnerability related to climate change and areas that we need to be paying attention to and some directions we can take and some things we might implement. I think it would be great if people from the village and towns, maybe some of you on the staff, depending on the direction it takes, would be involved in that. Because we really need to be looking at sustainability and resiliency issues for the village and town moving forward. And that'll be a good way for us to get help with that. Finally, I believe I've probably talked about this at every village meeting since we started. The food diversion and compost project has been a bumpy road. We've made some really good progress. We've had some setbacks, but I think it needs to be a priority. I think it needs to be a priority for this board to help the community figure out ways to keep our food waste out of the waste stream. And I think that I don't think it can or should become a municipal function, but I think we need to do what we can to support education and outreach and facilitation of projects so that what will undoubtedly become mandated in terms of food diversion so that Canton is ready for it. I think we are a trailblazer. We're not a trailblazer at sustainability. We're all too far behind on that. But as a village in the North Country, we are looked to as a model on that. And I hope that we can continue that. That is it for New Year. And I have no more notes. You'll be happy to know I do that. Actually, I think that.
Any other?
Just to add a little bit to Carol's information, that Eco-Adapt workshop will be March 8th and 9th. It's a Tuesday and Wednesday at Clarkson and Shield. If anybody's interested, if anybody wants to know more about it, feel free to contact me. I'll be attending and I'll be happy to share any information about it. So I also encourage people to get involved in that. Should be a real interest. And one other note, Complete Streets is looking at some of the recommendations from the Clarkson Port Street study. And we'll be gathering some of that and meeting with the infrastructure committee shortly and have some recommendations for the board in a future meeting. So it's in the works.
Any other
Sure.
committees?
No more committees, but I just wanted to ask Klaus two things. Reading the minutes, I was reminded that we were going to get something on the climate smart
Yep.
communities.
I'll work on that. I'll get that to you. Yep.
Right, or to Sally,
Yeah.
actually.
Yep.
And then the charger. Do you want to talk about the charger?
Oh, yeah, the charger, we have two chargers, a level 2 and a fast charger. The level 2 is working fine. The fast charger is not working right now. There's a problem with it that all the fast chargers of that model in the state have. And it's the switch to 4G disabled some of the circuitry of that charger. And the charge point company is working on that. If they can't resolve that, we'll be getting a new charger to replace it. And that's all in the works right now. I hope to know within weeks if they will be able to fix it or if we'll get a new charger. I'll continue to pursue that. And keep the board posted on it.
Okay,
Is there still, is there a sign over there that's a continuation of the old
I
sign?
have a sign I'll put back up. I had a sign on it and I took it off. Because we were working on it and the technician thought it possibly might work, even though we can't communicate with chargeable. But I will put the sign back up because it's not working.
And I think if Herman Mitch can help us get something in the paper that, because I think what happens is, what people have told me is they come into town to charge and then they can't, and then they're. So we need to be sure that we're publicizing that that's
Yeah.
really out of,
I'll
not
keep,
functioning and will be somewhat indefinite.
I'll keep Paul and Tom posted on any developments on that.
okay. Everybody done? Okay, communications and information. I have nothing from our county legislator. I wanted to let you know that the letter to the town planning board has been sent. And acknowledged. And got an email the other day and then I attended something with the local Chamber of Commerce this morning. And it's about the university games that are coming. And there is also scheduled to be a torch relay that is they would like to bring through Canton. I circulated that email to everybody so that you saw it. It's expected to be here December 9th. I'm waiting to get some more information about it. But that could be something fun that comes through the village and get a chance to spend a little bit of time with Chief. You're gonna have to help out with that, and I'm sure the fire service will help out with some traffic control depending on time of day. But they're scheduled to be here with that torch. We can't on Friday, December 9th. Along with that.
Press release on that?
Huh?
Is the chamber doing a press release? on
Well, the
that?
chamber is getting involved in that and trying to get prepped for the influx of people. Right, so there's gonna be more coming out about that. Lee was there, attended today. So they're doing some planning on trying to get information out about the things that are gonna happen, community with the people and a lot of games are being played here at Potsdam State, Clarkson, and at SUNY Canton. And I know we've been contacted about our pavilion and some availability of ice, but for nothing else other than practice. So, and that's a backup facility if there's problems elsewhere. So we'll be doing more quickly here on this whole torch relay. It's coming through. They want to do a ceremony in the village, I think. There'll be a stop at a couple locations here. So it's coming a little early in relationship to the games, but it's coming. Be more on that. Moving on. Old business. 64 Main Street. I don't have much to share. I've been in contact again with DEC. They are waiting for work plan from McDonald's about cleaning that up. I did not, I heard from one gentleman today, I'm waiting to hear from another one, he did not answer. By the close of business, so I don't have anything more to share. Next item, I kept on here the TSAP service with St. Lawrence County and the contract. Jerry did some work on that today, shared a little bit of information with me, but Jerry, do you want to take the board on where we're headed with that?
Well, it was earlier this week, I had a meeting with the county attorney. Just to review the proposal with him, there's some changes that I think should be made to the agreement. He indicated to me that the genesis of this is the county has been providing this service to the village of Canton. The county is mandated to be the access point for emergency calls when they relay to the local municipality. But the county doesn't have to go beyond that. But they are going beyond that for some of the municipalities, including the village of Canton. So the county now wants to firm this up and make sure that everybody knows exactly what's expected of both sides. So that's what the reason behind this agreement. He agreed that some of the changes that we think should be made can be made. Others, there are reasons why some language is in the agreement. So he and I are going to work together to pull together a red line for both his committee or board and this board. I'll try to have that done for you. Try to.
I think Jim needs to, also
yeah,
see that.
I
So
think,
that it's
did you get
clear.
a copy of the memo, Chief?
I did not send what you sent me out yet.
Okay, I'll make sure you get that.
I went through that at the end of the day. Any questions for? Jared? Discuss and take action on street dedication. I think before we take action on that, we have to look at the seeker. And that has been populated for you and distributed. Huh? Why, we got, okay, so that has been, you've received a packet with survey. And everything. We had a chance to review part one. The environmental assessment.
Yes.
Do you have any questions about how that's been answered?
Nope.
Okay. Part two. The only answer that was a moderate or large impact may occur, will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of the lane? That was answered yes, that may be moderate. Just because it will, has the potential to add traffic back into those parcels. Part three, there was an explanation. So and if there's no further questions, I do need a motion. That we determined based on the information analysis and the supporting documentation, that the proposed action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts.
So
Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, so now the next thing is the resolution that we need to pass to accept this. That's been circulated.
Mhm.
I move that we adopt the resolution.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we have a new street.
Yay.
Okay.
Yay.
Yay.
Oh, you're back. Hi. Okay, next item. This is exciting stuff. Discuss and take action on parking restriction on Pearl Street for winter snow. We had our public hearing. And we have the resolution. What would you like to do?
Move that we, I can't find the resolution on there now, but I move that we, thank you. I move that we restrict parking of any vehicle along the south side of Pearl Street from the entrance to the community bank parking lot to the intersection of Pearl Street and Court Street from November 30th through March 31st.
Second,
Second.
any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next item was to discuss solar intervenor. That was brought up last month. Jerry had a chance to do a little bit of research with the town's attorney on the subject, and there's been information passed around to the board. I think it's important that we take advantage of the intervenor option. The funds that come from that would support the representative for us when it comes to discussions about what's going to happen south of here on the level. That's a massive operation. And I just think that it's going to have an impact on us, and we should at least be in a position to comment and be taken seriously. We may not be able to stop it, but
It's sort of like buying a seat at the table, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
pretty much giving you a seat at the table.
I just think, I mean, in your discussions with Eric, is there any reason for us? I mean, I think it makes a lot of sense.
I think it makes a lot of sense. This is a major, it's called a major renewable energy project, and the executive law, local municipalities don't have any control over it. But we do have a right to have a seat at the table, but you need to be notified. And there are funds available. Well, costs to municipalities and do their own research and to bring more information. But you need to register, be in line to get those funds. So Mr. Buchan represents the town. He's working on that for the town now. He was a former village attorney whose position is that since the village is part of the town, he doesn't see any conflict in helping the village also apply for intervenor status. He sees that we're on the same side of this. So expressed he's willing to assist us and ask him to do that.
Great.
He thinks that the citing application is going to be filed very soon, probably as early as December. Then we have 30 days after that application is cited to make our applications. We will not be notified just because we're a village. We're not going to be notified automatically, and we have to register in advance as the town is doing. So it'd be a good idea to get some order on this.
So registration, I mean, this was my question, is I read through this and it is what it sounds like. We register to get notified when the application has been filed. So then we can apply to be an intervener. Yeah, talk about the state's layers of bureaucracy. That's just special.
Well,
Yep.
we do good job skipping rope.
Yep.
Would the attorney register us and take the appropriate steps for us that we retain?
He indicated he would do for us what he's doing.
So if you want to proceed on this, I need to have permission to engage him. With the expense covered by,
I'll confirm again with Eric. I told Eric I was talking to discussions. I'll make sure he knows that we want to do this. And I think you were going to talk to Marianne as well, so there's no,
yeah, I've talked to the town.
but it was strongly recommended from my recollection of the joint meeting. in
Yes.
October
Yeah.
of the
Yes.
Town that we take. this step as well.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think it's appropriate that we move forward with this. With your permission, I'll make that connection and move.
let's do it.
And the attorney's fees are paid from the intervener's fees. Yeah, absolutely. Please,
Yeah, I think it would
please
be
do it.
irresponsible of us not to.
Yep.
So let's look forward to it.
Okay. Next item under old business is discuss comp plan oversight committee. There was a proposal submitted to us by MJ Engineering. And it was given to, it's a combination town village proposal. And I think Mary Ann was gonna talk to the boss about getting involved in that. She did hear back from the mayor and he was asking a couple of questions and we'll present this to his board. So until we get back on this with the town and the village of Rensselaer Falls, I think we'll table it until.
Can I say something before you table it?
Yeah.
I really hope that that we can move forward with this. And I guess I have two things to say about that, one of which I've already said. I think not only does this help us in a way where we, this is something that department heads could do, the clerk's office could do. Our capacity to do it and do it well is just limited because of all the other things we have. And MJ is, as they like to say, uniquely suited because of having worked through this with us. I think the value added of this at all levels is absolutely worth what the proposed amount is. I would like to also say, just to remind you, everybody, that is a not to exceed proposal.
Yep.
And so one of the things is the supervisors tried to be in touch with the Village of Rensselaer Falls, hasn't heard back from the Village of Rensselaer Falls. I would really encourage the village and town to move forward expeditiously with this, even without Rensselaer Falls, because if they don't want to do it, they don't have to. And if they don't do it, it'll cost less. So if they're not pitching in a portion, that'll be the portion that they're not having to do because the Village of Rensselaer Falls isn't in the mix. So I think if Rensselaer Falls doesn't participate, the price will come down and it'll still be a reasonable thing for the town and the village to share. So in my absence, I would encourage you to really think hard about this, to go with it. And also, I think what they'd really like to do is help the village and town get started with this early next year. So the sooner that the town and village can come to an agreement on it and get moving, the better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think that's our intention. Of course, Mary Ann is waiting to hear from the Falls and she heard back from them a little bit, so.
So
Um,
if we table this, would we revisit in January with them about our joint?
we can do
meeting?
it then. We may have enough information by December to do it.
I think it'd be great for the boards to be able to do it in December, but if it had to wait for the joint meeting in January. As long as somebody's in touch with Jackie, just to let her know that it's like, what's the, I'll do that.
What's our timeline?
I'll make an intro to Jackie.
Yeah.
To the. Deputy mayor. Okay.
Okay, new business. Authorized payment of vouchers and transfer of funds. Is there a motion? Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item is approved fire department members, Eric Johnson and Eric Zulzo.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Huh?
I thought they were both already on it.
No,
Okay.
not those two.
Okay.
I am going to move Jennifer Henry to Complete Streets up. There was a request to add her. She resides at 62 Judson Street. She'd like to be added to the Complete Streets group.
So moved.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so now here we go.
And thanks to Jennifer, by the way. For volunteering.
volunteering.
Lovely to have
Yep.
volunteers.
So the next item is to accept the resignation of Carol Pinchon as our trustee and our deputy mayor. I appreciate all the effort you've made over the years. I think you made a difference. I'm gonna miss you for a lot of reasons, from editor in chief to she caught a spelling mistake today.
Yeah,
So-
she did.
Somebody better step up to that. But, with, I guess with heavy heart, I'm gonna ask for a motion to accept her resignation. She moves on in her life and that of her families.
I could probably make the motion. I'm still here.
You want to make the last one?
Ooh,
So who's gonna make it?
gosh,
I so moved.
I second it.
Any other further comments from the board?
Gonna miss you,
Thank you.
big time.
I have comments.
You'd like to make a comment before we vote to accept?
When do I say my thing that in my notes says last shot? Do I do that now or once I'm?
Oh, boy,
No,
here
I'm
we
still
go.
on, so I'm going with my
Do
last
it
shot.
before you-
Do it before we accept your resignation.
Yeah, right.
This is discussion.
Um,
What are you doing with that book?
are a couple of things that I.
You gifting that to somebody?
I am, thank you, and I am very proud of the work that we have done. I have to say, the atmosphere of this board has been extraordinarily collegial. I think we've worked well together. I think by and large, we've worked well with the town. I have appreciated greatly the support of a pretty incredible staff. And mostly, there have been rocky moments, but mostly it's been really fun. And I don't think there's a lot of village board members who would say that the work they did was fun. And it's been gratifying and all that. I know there's a few people in this town who are just happy to see me heading out of town, but I think mostly it's been gratifying and fun. As I said in my letter, I wish that people, I hope that people recognize the work that goes into it, the effort that goes into it, the commitment that goes into it. Clearly, we are not here for the pay. And we do get,
Really?
I will say, I'm sad to say I've lost a couple of friends through the process of this, and that makes me deeply sad. I've gained a lot more friends and colleagues and impassioned citizens, so that means everything to me. It takes a lot to keep a village running, and I have loved being a part of that. What I'm sad about is a few things that haven't gotten done, and I hope someone will run with. One, and with Jerry and me leaving, I don't know what's gonna happen, rental registration.
Oh, there you go. You
We
dug it out.
tried, God, we tried, and I think there's nothing pressing, and I think one of the reasons it hasn't gotten back to a front burner is because there's nothing pressing, but I think a simple rental registration would be a help to law enforcement, it would be a help to fire services, it would be help to code, it would be help to the clerk's office. If we knew who had rental facilities, who was the point person, it's not a lot we're asking, and I think it would be a big help. And here's a big fat folder to tell somebody how to do it, who wants it.
We'll just leave it there.
The other thing is that on Monday, whatever that is, the 6th, you will once again affirm our affirmative action and equal employment opportunity statement, which we don't have. And I have worked on that, as everybody knows, up and on. Elena at Romer, Elena Pablo last had it. I did not follow up with her recently, but I think that needs to be resurrected. I think we need to have an up-to-date affirmative action and equal employment opportunity statement. We need to revise it, and it needs to be on our website. That really is all, I've said all my notes now.
You
Throw
got to the
notebook
last
away.
page?
So can I? Oh,
Yeah, absolutely.
Either way, you go or I go.
well, I mean, I'm just gonna say, you know, when you speak about the work, Carol, I mean. Yes, there is a lot of work in this community. I think doesn't quite know how much of that work you have done. I think it's gonna become really obvious, although I say that, but then I also think the community does know, because it's entirely possible that I have received more public comment, as it were, about your leaving than about anything else. So I do think that you are, you know, people do know and they deeply appreciate you. I know I definitely do, like my, you know, my learning this job has only been made much easier than it ever would have been because of your mentorship and friendship and collegiality. And you have done, I mean, time and time again, you know, right down to the nitty gritty, from writing a DRI application to, you know, making sure that we're doing things transparently and openly and doing as much as we can to engage our community. So I just, you are a tremendous asset, and cannot wait to come visit you.
I probably should have let you go because you're more eloquent.
Oh, stop.
Talker, or speaker. But I will say, I greatly appreciate working with you. When I was asked by Mary Ann to be appointed, it was an honor, and I knew that I was going into an uncharted waters for me with two really strong women. And that has meant the world to me, working with you. In terms of COVID and going through that and being on the rec committee, we did a lot of work and it was a ton. And we weren't necessarily the most popular people in the community with decisions that we had to make. And I so appreciate you just being a strong leader. You're a visionary, and you know how to articulate and communicate with lots of different constituents in our community. And I am forever grateful. Having grown up here, you have made a huge impact in our community. I'm sorry to see you go. I'm really excited for you at your next adventures. So we appreciate you. Thank you very much.
We have lucky to be getting you.
Okay,
Thank you.
That's what I would say.
well, with that being said. All in favor?
I.
Anyone opposed?
Also that.
Well, we are gonna miss you. So,
And I'm gonna miss you.
I might as well give it to you. Then we gotta get her move out of the chair. No. More to this story, but something for you to. Thank you. Here's. We hope you come back when you're in town. for a visit.
hydrangeas are the flower of great.
Can I get a picture of the whole board,
Yeah,
please?
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Jerry too, Sally, please.
You want to see her? Tell us. If you're really good, share. You want me to give her the?
It's okay.
Okay. Yeah, here we go.
There, you ready?
There.
Wonderful. One more, please. Come on, Carol. Thank you.
Thank you. Very pretty. Thank you very much. You did beautiful. Wow.
Sally, were you saying something about?
Okay.
All right.
No, I was just saying, hydrangeas are the flower of gratefulness.
Oh, really?
That's
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
So, now I need to make an appointment, to a village trustee spot. And I have selected Barbara Beekman. And I've asked Barbara, and she accepted. So Barb, come on up and the oath of office now. I should say that
You're gonna take pictures.
Yeah. I hate that we don't have cards here.
Tom's out of the film.
I, Barbara Beekman, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States, that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York and the Constitution of the State of New York, that I will faithfully discharge the duties of village trustee, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of village trustee according to the best of my
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome. Do we put her up to the table?
Super big.
You want to come up to the table or you want to?
Should I go sit with Pete? Yeah. I don't know if everybody knows this here, but I met my husband Tom and Pete at the same time. So that's how far back the beats and the hinges.
Okay, the next piece of business is that I need to appoint a deputy mayor. I've asked Anna Sorensen to serve in that position and she accepted. So you get to get sworn at.
Yeah, yeah, don't tell. I, Anna Sorensen,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of deputy mayor
according to the best of my
according to the best of my ability.
Okay, well, congratulations, everyone. And I hope when Carol gets back here, she will stop in and see us once in a while. I suspect
She
she
can
will.
zoom in.
Yeah.
There's a few things coming up that I probably lose.
Okay, next item is the organizational meeting. I just wanted to remind everybody that our annual organizational meeting is December 5th, 6 o'clock. In the boardroom.
This is the meeting that we set all the monthly dates.
Yep.
Correct.
So think about those.
And I request that we potentially think about not doing a Wednesday in May because we have all of the concerts and last year it conflicted with the concert in the park. And it will always consistently be Wednesdays. I can't tell you what Wednesday it'll be in the park, but it would be really fantastic for us to be able to attend that. So if we could maybe do a Tuesday in May instead of Monday.
We'll take that under
Thank you.
consideration.
Appreciate that.
We do those requests. I just wanted everybody to know, remember that that's our organizational meeting. A couple of you will get sworn at again. Just because of the way we have to do this. And that being said, public comment is the last item on the agenda. Is there any public comment? Oh,
I have something. I think just as a person who's grew up in Canton, you should think about for the new name for this new street. I always wonder where some of the names like Prentice Lane, some of those streets, the names come from. Be kind of cool to combine a couple, to recognize a couple of really cool people here. Pinchon, Jerry, who's eventually gonna be leaving, call it Pinch Jerry.
Whoa, how long you been thinking about that one?
Well,
Oh, good one. We met getting,
Hockey. But in the last year, as you know, I've had headaches and a few nonstop migraines, and I just want to make a constant respect for me and my decisions. And I wish you all the
thank you. Any other comment? Public comment, once or twice?
Along the same lines, Charlie, you have been a tremendous support and resource for me. And I'm going to miss you for a number of reasons. Editorial is a big one. But yeah, it's gonna be a big shoes to fill, and I just want to thank you for everything. And I am jealous that you're going to New Hampshire. That was my second home for a long time, my first home for a long time, but yeah, and
Any other comment? Going once, going twice? Okay. I need a motion to go into executive session. For the sake of personnel.
so moved.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Carol, would you please stay?
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, I'll send you the draft agreement that's circulated. Highlighted.
Didn't you get the original PSTAP agreement?
You should have gotten it, but I don't think you got the marked up one, so I'll send you
Well,
the.
you know, for these,
My bad.
try to make it. Come around.